Hi, so first and foremost, I wanted to verify that I have read the Daniel text, which is called Daniel Counseling Principles and Christian Beliefs, an integrated approach in its entirety. Actually found the text to be really interesting and I enjoyed reading it. I enjoyed the various principles and the various mechanics that are found within the Christian perspective alongside the counseling profession, and how these can work hand in hand. They can work in conjunction, and they don't have to it doesn't have to be faith versus counseling and the science behind counseling. They can work together. The counseling professional value from the ACA Code of Ethics that I found that was not in harmony with me and my personal beliefs is found within Section A, the counseling relationship. It is subsection A 4B, which is the personal values. The ACA Code of Ethics, this Code of Ethics states, counselors are aware of and avoid imposing their values, attitudes, beliefs, and behaviors. Counselors respect the diversity of clients, trainees, and research partners, and seek training in areas in which they are at risk of imposing their values onto clients, especially when the counselor's values are inconsistent with the client's goals or discriminatory in nature. And I specifically find myself now agreeing with it, which specifically states, and I wanted to reiterate, it states, especially when the counselor's values are inconsistent with the client's goals or are discriminatory in nature. I found that to be very important as a future mental health counselor, because when we are dealing with clients, we have to place aside our values. Not our values, but our feelings. We have to place aside any feelings that we may have regarding the situations that brought them to counseling, because we may have clients who have come to us because they are court mandated, because they are sexual offenders, because they have been convicted of murder, or they have done as what society calls heinous crimes. And I found myself always stating and always believing in undergrad, in my time in undergrad, that I would never be able to work with people or individuals that are incarcerated. I specifically sexual offenders, and specifically men or women who have committed murders or crimes that involve children and hurting or abusing children. And I find myself now within this program to have steered away from that, and I actually find myself wanting to possibly work within the prison system, and alongside working with individuals that have committed sexual crimes against children, because it doesn't matter, because of my spirituality and my Christian beliefs. And I believe that Jesus died for all. It doesn't matter. The Bible is very clear, and it specifically states that in the eyes of God, a sin is a sin. It doesn't matter if we lied. It doesn't matter if we've murdered. A sin is a sin in his eyes. So there's not one thing that's worse sin than the other. So I just found that really to have changed my perspective and my spiritual integration, my spirituality, my beliefs. And this change can be closely related to Daniel, the chapter in the Daniel Counseling Principles and Christian Approach, specifically found within the chapter 4. It explains that I, as a counselor, I am always promoting the good of my client and of the society, and it requires to see my client in the context of their own world. It also explains, it also has biblical references to Proverbs 3:27. It says, "Do not withhold good from those whom it is due, when it is your power to act." And then it explains that in the world of Jesus, loving is action and doing. Love compels us to act for the good of our clients. It also explains in John 15:13, it says, "Greater love has no one than this, to lay down his life for one's friends." It explains that Jesus exercised benefits by elevating status of the disenfranchised. A great example of this is the woman at the well, because like Jesus, it's our duty to go to our client's world for the good of the client, for their purpose, growth, and redemption. And specifically, I found the redemption aspect of the client-counselor relationship to be so specific to the clients that I now want to work with, because the men and women who are incarcerated, society just pushes them away. They don't want to see them have redemption. They don't want to see them to have freedom. They just think that because they made one mistake or multiple mistakes, that they are just condemned to a life in prison without any mercy. And I don't believe that to be at all what Jesus called us to. He called us to love. He called us to be merciful. So I found that really just important within my spiritual integration. And as well, a counseling professional value or code from the ACA Code of Ethics that I still remain in conflict with within my personal or spiritual beliefs is found in section B. It's of the confidentiality and privacy section. Subsection B2B says confidentiality regarding end-of-life decisions. It says counselors who provide services to terminally ill individuals who are considering hastening their own death have the option to maintain confidentiality. Depending on applicable laws and the specific circumstances of the situation, and after seeking consultation of supervision from appropriate professional and legal parties. I specifically found myself still dealing with issues and just conflicts with the confidentiality regarding end-of-life decisions because I don't believe in end-of-life decisions. I believe that as a Christian and as someone who's spiritually inclined to the Christian faith, that Jesus and God are the withholders, and they are the ones who hold our lives in our hands, not us. We are not the ones who can just decide when our lives can end and when our lives begin. We don't decide that. So I find myself to really wonder and just, I'm not sure how I would deal with a client who has an end-of-life decision and who has been medically signed off by an MD or by a DO to take these steps, and they are seeking counseling just as a precautionary measure. The way that I can work through these conflicts and what the process should entail is by maybe seeking out others in the counseling field. Maybe when I am a licensed mental health counselor, I can reach out to my colleagues, my supervisors, the people within hospital settings, people within the clinical settings that work with hospice patients. I can specifically find those counselors that have worked alongside individuals who are on hospice care and who have taken the right to end their own lives, who have taken the steps to completing physician-assisted suicide because of the implications of their diseases. And I can work alongside these counselors and these different mental health providers, these different medical doctors, and seeing their points of views and how we as counselors can still aid in these clients' lives and still helping them and still aiding them within anything that they need, even though we don't agree with their decisions. We can still help them, we can still provide comfort, we can still provide them justice, and we can still provide them fidelity, which is one of the biggest chapters of chapter 6 within Daniel, the counseling principles that explains that fidelity is a proof of love, that being a faithful counselor to our clients is the example of fidelity, and that in Genesis 18:1-15, God is very specific, and he's a perfect example of fidelity with his promise to Abraham and Sarah about their children. And so I just found myself still having conflict with that, but I know that when I seek the advice from others within the mental health field, I can possibly work through these issues. And who knows, maybe as a future mental health counselor, once I'm licensed, I will end up working with these clients and these individuals who are seeking physician-assisted suicide. And I won't obviously be aiding them in taking their own lives away, but I will be aiding them in helping them through any emotions, helping them through any negativities that they may be dealing with, and just consoling them and consoling their families. And that is all. Thank you.